have been handed a major boost ahead of their Champions League last 16 first-leg clash with Bayer Leverkusen tomorrow night, as several key players return to training. The Gunners head to Germany aiming to maintain their perfect record in European competition this season, and they could have a nearly full squad available for selection. William Saliba missed Saturday's FA Cup fifth-round match against Mansfield due to an ankle issue that had also kept him out of the narrow victory over Brighton the previous week. However, the French defender was seen training at the Sobha Realty training ground on Tuesday morning and is expected to return to the starting lineup alongside Gabriel Magalhaes, who was rested over the weekend. Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi were also given a break during the Mansfield fixture, which proved to be more challenging than expected. But both players were back training with the squad today. Mikel Arteta will also be encouraged after Leandro Trossard and Riccardo Calafiori took part in the session despite both failing to complete the full 90 minutes in the FA Cup tie. Trossard had been forced off in the first half with what looked like an ankle problem, while Calafiori appeared to suffer a hamstring concern. One notable absentee, though, was captain Martin Odegaard, who continues to deal with a knee injury picked up during last month's draw with Brentford. The Norwegian midfielder did appear in matches against Wigan, Wolves, and Tottenham afterward, but he has now missed the last 3 games after aggravating the problem while attempting to stop Keane Lewis Potter from scoring an equalizer. Ben White also remains unavailable, but with Marley Salmon now involved with the first-team squad, Arsenal still have solid defensive cover. Meanwhile, teenage talent Max Daumann impressed during the Mansfield game and received strong praise from both his manager and teammate Eberechi Eze. Speaking about the 16-year-old, Eze said Daumann stands out for his confidence and belief in his own ability. He's quite unique compared to many players, Eze explained. Max has a lot of self-belief. He's not only a talented footballer but also a great person. You can see he's developing well and he's enjoyable to be around. 2. Be honest, many of the academy players coming through now have that same mindset. When they train with the first team, they show real confidence and bring a positive energy to the environment. Perry Groves has criticized Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta for allowing Ethan Nwaneri to leave the club during the January transfer window. Nwaneri, who made history as the youngest player ever to appear in the Premier League when he debuted for Arsenal at just 15 years old, was loaned to Marseille for the remainder of the season. The 18-year-old struggled for consistent opportunities in the first half of the campaign, making only 12 appearances and failing to start a single Premier League match. That limited involvement came as a surprise given his role last season when he featured regularly and made 37 appearances across all competitions before signing a new contract in the summer. His reduced playing time was partly due to Arsenal's summer transfer activity, with both Noni Madueke and Eberechi Eze arriving at the Emirates and increasing competition for places. Although a loan move was not widely expected, the chance to play more regularly at a top European club encouraged Nwaneri to seek a temporary switch. He made an impressive start at Marseille, scoring on his debut and earning praise from then-manager Roberto De Zerbi. However, his influence has faded since that promising beginning. Former Arsenal winger Groves said he understands why the England under-21 international wanted more minutes, but believes Arsenal made the wrong call by allowing him to leave. With the Gunners still competing in multiple competitions as the season enters its decisive phase, Groves believes having extra squad depth would have been beneficial for Arteta while balancing domestic and European fixtures. Groves suggested that even if Nwaneri was not guaranteed regular game time, the club should have insisted he remain at Arsenal. According to him, young players such as Nwaneri simply want opportunities to play, especially with established names like Martin Odegaard, Eberechi Eze, and Mikel Merino ahead of him in the pecking order. He also hinted that other young talents could face similar situations, mentioning Miles Lewis-Skelly as another player who might consider his future if playing time remains limited. Groves added that some players may leave at the end of the season because they do not want to remain third or fourth choice in their positions. Following Nwaneri's departure, Arteta defended the decision, explaining that talented young players need consistent minutes to continue developing. He said he did not want to hinder Nwaneri's progress by keeping him at the club without sufficient opportunities. Arteta initially hoped the midfielder would benefit from working under former Brighton manager Roberto De Zerbi at Marseille. However, Nwaneri left the French club last month after their Champions League campaign came to an end. Meanwhile, Arsenal have temporarily shifted their focus away from the Premier League title race as they prepare to face Bayer Leverkusen in the first leg of their Champions League round of 16 clash. Arsenal were handed a mix of positive and negative news during Tuesday's training session as they prepared for Wednesday's Champions League last 16 first-leg clash away to Bayer Leverkusen. Mikel Arteta's side traveled to Germany to face the 2023-24 Bundesliga champions after an outstanding league phase. The Gunners were the only team to win all 8 of their matches, finishing top of the table with a perfect record. Arsenal are also chasing a 5th consecutive victory in all competitions after their 2-1 FA Cup win over Mansfield Town at the weekend. However, that victory came with concerns as both Leandro Trossard and Riccardo Calafiori picked up injuries during the match at Field Mill, casting doubt over their availability for the trip to Leverkusen. There was encouraging news on Tuesday, though, as both the Belgian forward and the Italian defender were spotted taking part in open training. Their presence suggested the injuries are not serious, and that both players could still feature in the first leg. William Saliba was also involved in the session, indicating that the French defender is close to returning after missing Arsenal's last 2 victories over Chelsea and Mansfield with an ankle issue. Declan Rice, Martin Zubamendi, and Gabriel Magalhaes also trained with the squad after sitting out the FA Cup fixture. Their absence at the weekend was purely precautionary, with Arteta choosing to rest them rather than due to any injury concerns. However, there were still a couple of notable absentees. Ben White and Captain Martin Odegaard did not take part in the training session, making it unlikely that either will be involved on Wednesday night. White has been dealing with an unspecified injury since before Arsenal's North London derby win against Tottenham on February 22nd, and there has been little update on when he might return. Odegaard, meanwhile, briefly returned from a knee injury against Spurs, but soon suffered a setback and has not played at all this month. With Arsenal competing across 4 competitions this season, Arteta rotated heavily for the FA Cup tie against Mansfield. As a result, only one of the players who started that match is expected to keep his place for the Champions League clash, Gabriel Martinelli, who could start on the left wing if Trossard is not ready to begin the match. Calafiori may drop out of the lineup with Leverkusen loanee Piero Hincapi potentially stepping in. Gabriel, Saliba, Jurrien Timber, and goalkeeper David Raya are all expected to return to the defensive unit. In midfield, Rice and Zubamendi are likely to partner FA Cup hero Ebereki Eze, while Bukayo Saka and Victor Gyökeres are expected to replace Max Daumann and Gabriel Jesus in attack.